Maisie is doing very, very well. She's doing better than most of the dogs that are at the clinic. Maisie, and most of you guys probably know, she was diagnosed with mast cell tumors a couple years ago, which is a type of cancer. They haven't come back. She's doing really well. The chemo finally started to affect her a few months ago, so we've stopped the chemo. But so far, knock wood, things are good. She's feeling very good because we have the new pit bull, Libby, who is a horror. And Maisie didn't like her for 3 months, and now she finally has determined that Libby is her best friend. I think it happened when Libby just spooned up to her, and I saw Maisie's toes curl. She got you.
Is Daisy Maisie?
Oh, Daisy, of course, is Daisy. Daisy is Maisie. I mean, because here's the thing. I mean, Maisie, hopefully she's going to live a long and happy life, but I never want to write a memoir where she is not part of it. So she will continue to live on. I mean, so that was my intention. Next question. We're at the question and answer part. Quick, you keep up. Who else? Yes.
Did you base Vienna on one specific crazy celebrity, or is it like a multitude?
No, I pretty much base Vienna on everything I researched from Paris Hilton. See, this is what's so fun about writing fiction. Because we rented from a guy who was just kind of your garden variety asshole. And there wasn't anything particularly wrong with him. He was slow to fix things and very quick to cash checks. But I thought, what would it be like if Paris Hilton were our landlord? Okay, that's funny. So that's where it was really liberating to be able to write fiction. Yes.
Just me again.
It's okay.
Is the next book a memoir or fiction?
No, the next book, if you like these characters, and hopefully you do, you're going to see them in 2 more books, at least. And the thing is, I hate when chick lit authors write the same story over and over and over again. So you're going to see them in entirely different situations in the next 2 books. So that's all I will say. But they're not going to be situations you can believe, but they're going to be really funny. And again, at least one of them was based on something that I wanted to do.
Ever write a memoir?
Yeah, I'm slated to have another memoir come out like next fall. And that one was supposed to be about volunteering. I spent a whole year volunteering, and it turns out I am not a fan of volunteering. And you can't write a snarky memoir about volunteering if you don't want people like the New York Times and NPR to crucify you. Even though some of the experiences were really funny. Here's something, don't yell at the volunteers, number 1. And don't lecture them when they can't make their shift at the women's shelter where they all live and don't have jobs, and complain that their dinner was served late and they were upset, because my response is, well, couldn't they have helped? Again, not uplifting. I honest to God thought I would have this aha moment, and I didn't. The good thing that came of it is I write a lot more checks now. You know, I'm pretty good at that. And it's fairly painless. There was one day that I was doing volunteer gardening. It was 105 degrees and I was I sweated off like 900 pounds. It was the worst day of my life. And I'm like, I don't really see the point of this, because I kept finding all this garbage and someone's report card in the bushes. This do not respect this community garden. I have a pool now. I would like to go in that. And again, you can't write a whole book about being a jerk, at least not in this context. Okay, next question. Yes?
What's your tattoo?
Oh, my tattoo or my sorority letter, spring break.
Is that what that is?
Yeah, Pi Beta Phi, spring break, I think it was like 1992. So that stayed with me for life. People have asked me if it's a gang tattoo. I mean, because it's pretty crude. It's back when girls weren't getting ink. They've asked me if I did it myself. They asked me if I got it in jail. So now I'm not going to get it removed because it is a living reminder to not do stupid things. It's the only one I have, though. Yeah. Okay, yes?
How was the Renaissance?
You know, I'm still working on the Renaissance. The Renaissance is going a lot better than the personal training because that was hard. But I'm still doing a lot of things with the Renaissance. My college roommate and I have become very big opera buffs, because the opera kicks ass, let me tell you. Number one, everyone dresses in these crazy outfits, which are so much fun to watch. Number two, you break like every 20 minutes for drinks. There's an entire cake based on going to the opera, and the music is spectacular. It's everything you know from commercials. I am such a huge fan of the opera, so we've been much better about doing that, doing a lot of cool dining experiences. So at some point last year I ate beef heart. Do not recommend. Not a big fan, but I tried it. So I'm doing some cool things. So that's been that I've really kept up with. The personal training, again, was hard, and it felt good when I was doing it, and it felt better when I stopped. So just forget about that. What did you think?
It was one of the most interesting experiences that says, I've done it twice. The fact that we got through this whole meal with wine at every single serving. I mean, and then they wanted to give us a tour of the kitchen. And I'm lucky I got down the stairs.
That was something that I'd written about in My Fair Lazy, with this like crazy molecular gastronomy where they make food with science, and it's insane. We went there for my birthday this year, and I had all of my idiot friends with me, and I can tell you every single one of their dietary restrictions. You know what my dietary restrictions are? No beef heart. Other than that, I'm pretty open. My friend Karen won't eat beef, and she won't eat pork, but she will eat bacon only if she calls it chicken, and she won't eat any animals that are cute or strawberries. Caprice won't eat beef. She won't eat anything red. Gina won't eat crab. Gina's boyfriend Lee is a lacto-ovo vegetarian. That's fun at Thanksgiving. So the list just went on and on. They hated us. Oh my God, they hated us. So, okay, there was another question over here. Yes, hi. I didn't move into any of the houses that are described in the book, except for the wallpaper that I talk about in this book was all in my house. The house that I moved into wasn't tacky, it was just super, super, super old lady. Super old lady. And things are very fancy, so we are systematically working on replacing all the gold doorknobs and the gold faucets. But we're doing it slowly because everything's still nice. And we're taking stuff to the Habitat for Humanity restore, so I did learn some stuff from not writing a volunteering book. And we had a house that was structurally sound, which is different than what Mac and Mia did, and that was a really smart idea. Yes?
Did the dresser get done yet?
The dresser is done. The dresser, Fletch was refinished. Here's the thing about this. In the book, Mac becomes obsessed with tools, obsessed with setting up his workshop, and that's where he really diverged from Fletch. I really exaggerated that. As soon as I finished this book, it was like I opened a portal to hell with my husband. We have a drill press now. He has spent thousands of dollars refurbishing our basement in tools that I never actually see him use, and no projects get done. So now I've got to make Mac do something awesome in the next book if I now have the power to magically ruin my husband. Or fix. Okay, so yes.
Last fall, I was reading My Fair Lady, and I went to Portland shortly after that, so I searched out Stumptown and
Oh, did you get the coffee there?
Voodoo Donuts. I'm hooked on Stumptown. I live in New York. I ordered that coffee.
Nice.
Every few weeks, you should get kudos for that.
I feel like I should.
You're going to Portland in a few
Yes.
weeks. I think Voodoo Donuts downtown is being renovated.
Oh.
You might want to.
I will. Trust me, I will seek it out.
Yeah.
You know something? Tell me how cool this is in Portland. I was supposed to go do like one segment on afternoon TV, but apparently they liked my book videos, and they said, "Hey, how would you like to guest host for the whole hour?" I think I would be very good at that. And you know, the last person who was the guest host was Henry Winkler, and I'm like, that is so badass. I'm gonna be sitting in the Fonz's seat. And in Atlanta, I don't know why I think this is cool, because I'm a nerd. They had a cushion on my chair that apparently Stephen King has to use because he has a bad back. I'm like, I sat on Stephen King's cushion. These are imagine the stories I would tell you if I were tired. Yeah, I'm supposed to do Joy Behar on June 1st. I was scheduled to do it last week, but I don't know, something went awry. So, yes.
Did you go to John Hughes's grave site, really?
Oh yeah, I've been to John Hughes's grave site.
Where is it?
It's in Lake Forest, tucked away in the big. Are you familiar with Lake Forest?
Kind of, sort of.
Yeah, it's on the non-fashionable side. It's all tucked away. For the last year or so, there wasn't even a headstone. It was just a flat stone. There was no marker or anything. But now I guess there's a very simple headstone. But it was very cool seeing his grave because I thought it would be like Jim Morrison, and I thought everyone would have covered it with 16 candle DVDs and stuff. But it was just, I mean, I think the people who really loved him understood how what a private man he was and really respected that space. So it was pretty cool. Yes?
I'd like to know about the ebb and flow of Butch being your personal assistant. How's that working out?
The ebb and flow of Fletch being my personal assistant, I can't fire him because then he would get unemployment. No, I found this out. And then I would have an unemployed Fletch sitting around not doing things for me. Although recently he has promoted himself to CIO, Chief Information Officer. I don't know what that means. I don't know how this position is any different. And last week I left him an enormous list of chores. And on the first night I was gone, he drank 9 beers. And on the second night, he drank 8 beers. And on the third night, he was tired. And like the fourth day, I came home. So hopefully he's going to be working on the list this week. But you know what? It's nice having him home. And it's also good material having him home. But he's very happy. So it's cool. Yes?
When's your favorite time to write?
My favorite time to write is 2 months before my book is due, when I realize I have to write the damn book. And then the thing is, I'm really, really disciplined. I'm at the desk at 8 in the morning. I work until 6 at night. I only take an hour for lunch, just to rest my eyes and my wrists. And it is a very good reminder of what my life will be like if I had to get a desk job again. And so I need to finish this book and need to make it as good as I can. So I am very disciplined about 2 months a year, and now that next year I'm going to have 2 books coming out a year, I'm going to have to work as many as 4 months a year. So we'll see how that goes. Yes?
Did you ever figure out what the fresh thing was? It's not a toilet?
Okay. It is not a toilet. For those of you who didn't see it, I put this cool Chinese curio on my website, and the perspective of the position of the picture was bad, and everyone was like, "Oh, that's a toilet." And it's an indication of what you people think of me, that you automatically assume that I would buy an antique Chinese toilet. But it turns out it was, they use it for a couple different things. Couples, when they got married, they would get like food gifts in it, and Chinese restaurants would send food home with you, and then you would just bring it back. So I think it's like the old equivalent of a Tiffany bag. You know, you get like a great present in it, and then for the next year you use it for your lunch bag. Because they're very sturdy. It's not watertight, and it's only like that big. It's not a toilet. I mean, hundreds of people went on my Facebook page, "Oh, that is a toilet." Without a shadow of a doubt. You buy one Barbie head on the internet. Everybody thinks you're an idiot. And I will have you know, I do not have any ambient e-tailing stories to tell you, because when we moved into the new house, the master is on the first floor and the computer is on the second floor, and I did that for a very specific reason, because once I take an Ambien, I don't do stairs. I do, however, go to the kitchen. And a couple weeks ago, we'd gone to the deli and I'd gotten 2 kinds of pudding, chocolate and banana. And for some reason, I wanted pudding because I was high on Ambien. But I didn't want Fletch to know I'd been eating it. So I didn't use a spoon because I didn't want there to be spoons. So I just opened them and licked them. And then the next morning, he said, "Tongue dip it." And Fletch did not want the pudding after that. Yeah. Question to follow that.
It's about your dog. How do you deal with Libby? Because I have a dog from hell. Eats, gets into everything, eats everything.
You know, all we can do with Libby is we try. She's in 2 hours of training a week, and she's a rock star in training. She can do things that people who are a year into training for therapy dogs can do. And I think that is why she's just so awful when she's not. I mean, the thing is, it's our fault. If we don't have our eyes on her, it's our fault, whatever she gets into. She's a particularly big fan of brushes, toilet brushes, hair brushes, nail brushes. And the ottoman that she ate, okay, that was her fault, but there was a little slit in it where a dog's claw cut it open a few years ago. So she saw that as an opportunity to divest the whole thing of all of its stuffing. And the problem is not me. The problem is Fletch, because he's so in love with this dog that when she does anything wrong, he apologizes to her. Libby, no, and then like, I'm sorry. Then he looks you. It's embarrassing. Oh, and when I got back on Saturday, I opened the door, and there's Maisie, there is Loki, and there is this big fat pit bull I've never seen before. He got somehow, Libby gained like 10 pounds in 5 days that I was gone. She's 60 pounds of pit bull stuffed into a 40-pound frame. And before I left, her trainer came over, and she was looking at Libby, and Fletch said, well, no, I think she had a growth spurt. And our trainer said they grow up, not down. So this is his project that he's supposed to be working on this week. We'll see how that goes.
Yes.
Couple more, yeah.
I just wanted to thank you for putting book, suggesting books.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, you guys want some good suggestions?
Yeah.
I just read It's All Relative. I think that's.
Don't you love Wade?
Yeah.
I love
Wade.
Oh, Wade is the Wade
Unless you
Rouse.
want to talk more about his.
Okay, good news for you. In September, I'm part of an anthology called I'm Not the Biggest Bitch in This Relationship, and it's all sorts of funny writers talking about their dogs. It's people that, it's Lauren DeTero, it's Jane Green, it's Stephanie Klein, it's Reese Crane, it's Wade Rouse, and everybody has a story about their dog. I'm in it, and I'm really excited about it, and Chelsea Handler's dog wrote the intro. Which I think is so cool. I'm like, now I think she should have us on her show. I don't know. But what I am recommending right now that I think is so good, I just read the second, I really like young adult books now, because clearly I'm 43 years old, so I need to read books for 14-year-olds. But I just read the second part of the series of the Carrie Diaries, which I really liked.
Oh, I read that.
Because they introduced Miranda in this one, and at the very end Charlotte, which was so cool. My friend Wendy McClure has a book that came out a couple of weeks ago called The Wilder Life. So anybody that grew up obsessed with Laura Ingalls Wilder, she goes on a search to figure out who the real Laura Ingalls Wilder was. And there is one scene where she and her hipster boyfriend go to this homesteading weekend because they want to learn how to churn butter and can their own peaches and stuff like Laura Ingalls Wilder did. But apparently it was all people who were trying to learn to live off the grid. So yeah, it was a whole farm full of crazy people, and then these two hipster urban sophisticates. Just the culture clash between them is worth the price of admission for the book. It's so funny. It's so worth reading. And there's a great book coming out next month by J. Courtney Sullivan called Maine, a big sweeping beach epic with multi-generation. She's the one who wrote Commencement. So it's so good. It's so good. But I'll put out a full summer reading list when I get time.
Before you did that, my girlfriend used to get books. We would take pictures of rooms or something in the house, and she'd see books. And
Oh, she would
focus
see which
in on
ones.
the names, and then she'd get the book and say, hey, I got this for Jen Lancaster.
Cool. That's so cool. Yes. Well, I pretty much put my whole story from the Purdue Award, but you know what? Neither the ambassador nor the Pulitzer Prize winner or the professor of sociology almost threw up in a parking garage the next day. You know what? Can't drink like I'm 22 anymore. Shouldn't. Just the idea of cocktails right now, a month and a half away from the event, makes me want to die. I mean, I was I was, at the end of the night, I was stopping undergrads to tell them what I W-2'd last year. And they're like, wow, you're creepy. The next day I thought back to, like, oh, I hated the weekends when the alumni would come because they were all so weird. Hi. Do not stop perpetuating that myth. We'll do a couple more, then we'll get to the signing. Are we cool?
Yeah.
Okay, over here. Anybody? Okay, we'll go 1, 2, 3.
How are the kittens doing from My Fair Lady?
The kittens are little terrors. We recently lost our 2 oldest cats, which really sucked. And I didn't write about it because when I write about losing pets, everybody sends me sad stories. And I read them and then I cry. And I was already sad enough about these guys. One was 18, one was 19. And they were ready to check out. But the kittens are doing very well. Well, I was gone, and honest to God, I wouldn't have believed Fletch, except I know these cats. They're always breaking into some cabinet. Like, they will spend all night trying to break into the cabinet where their food is, when they have a continual food bowl with the same food in the package that they perpetually try to do, like Odin, who's particularly dim. He can't leave cat litter out because he rips open the bag and then he eats it. He's like, this is not but then he keeps eating it. It's still not good. Apparently, while I was gone, they broke into a china cabinet. And I've been like haunting the resale shops for like old crystal vases and stuff. And they opened the china cabinet and knocked down an entire shop, which I absolutely would have blamed on Fletch if I didn't know what little jackasses they were. I don't know what they wanted in the china cabinet. You know? Okay. Yes.
One of my managers and I have been joking for about a year now about how someone needs to write an Amish zombie book because both topics are so popular. I'm just wondering, what made you decide to make Mia an Amish zombie
Well,
author?
one of my friends, Amy Lamar, had this hilarious Twitter conversation with one of her friends a couple years ago. And they're like, we should write a book about Amish zombies. And they went back and forth, and I kept telling her, I'm like, you should write this. People would buy this. You should write this. I told my editor about it, and she's like, oh, I would buy this. But she didn't get around to it, and I said, I'm going to take this idea if you don't. And I only mentioned it. I'm not actually going to write teen Amish zombie books. That would be a very hot genre right now because I've actually gotten interest. And I don't really know anything about zombies, and that's what I think is funny because Mia writes these books and she doesn't really know anything about them, which she just half-asses them, which I think is awesome. But if you like the idea of that, Carrie Ryan writes sort of a post-apocalyptic, they're sort of Amish. Zombie teen series. They're vaguely Amish. Okay, you have to read it. I'm not doing it justice. Yeah, they're sort of like that because it's this whole post-apocalyptic world. And it's really actually very good. And it's going to be a movie. It's going to be huge. Anyway, so if you like the idea of teenage Amish zombies in love, then you should read Carrie Ryan. So, okay, back there.
Any more tries to get on reality TV? Any more Survivor?
I haven't done anything actively to try to get on reality TV, but I sit there and watch and think I would be so good on the show. I would be outstanding on the show. And there was some recent episode of Amazing Race where every single thing they did was just so terrible and so out of my wheelhouse. And Fletch just looked at me, he's like, you would make the worst television ever. Or would it be the best? You know that there's always that one loser couple who doesn't really make it past the starter gate, and you don't even see it in the whole series? That would be me and my friend Joanna who want to do it. This fall we saw signs for an estate sale that was basically around the corner for me, and we both had our iPhones out and we were trying to figure out how to Google these directions. At no point did either of us see the enormous orange sign pointing to, like, estate sale this way. And so, I mean, I know that we would be terrible, and I would be terrible at anything I attempted. But, and yet. Okay, want to do, wait, one more? Or no more? Okay, yes.
Have you had any more conversations about doing like a movie from any of the books? Or
I mean, there's always conversations, but until someone writes me a check, it's not real. One thing everybody wants to know is like, oh, who would play you? In the memoirs, I have decided I would like Lauren Graham because, you know, she's sort of sassy mouth, dark hair. People dig her, and I think that she would be like, believable as me. And when I was writing this book, it was when they announced who was going to host the Oscars, and I could really picture James Franco and Anne Hathaway as Mia and Mac, but now I'm so mad at them. I'm so mad at them. And a line I said at a couple of book signings. But if anybody wanted to make my movie, I would even be happy with Katherine Heigl. I know, ooh, bird. She's in her mansion right now, shaking in her boots.